Employee recognition software, 4,000 search per month, new market, growing demand. Application screening, 4,000 search per month, growing demand, pretty recent. Skill assessment software, small search volume, but growing demand. Those are only a few of the 8 ideas that I found using this simple framework. And this framework started simply by looking at the Evergreen Problem Map. This is a mind map that contains every problem that most companies have. And I found these 8 ideas simply by looking into one single problem. And I could probably find more. If you look at this map, here there is one problem, but then you can expand it to find more problem that company have. And if you look at this complete list, this is how it looks. So each of these problems can become 10 overlooked SaaS ideas. In this video, I'm going to show you a simple framework where you will just pick a market, you will validate the demand, find the big player in this market and deconstruct their business model. So you will find out which of the features that they offer can be built as a standalone SaaS business. You will then look into the different industries that can benefit for a dedicated solution for this specific industry. Okay, so the first step of this framework is to pick a market. And the world is large and there are so many things you can build. That's why we need to start somewhere. I mentioned the Evergreen Problem Map for B2B, but there is another version, which is the same thing for the 3 core markets map, which are health, wealth, and relationships. This is for B2C. This is where people are the most likely to spend their money on. So whether you want to go for a B2B idea, you use this map, or you want to go for a B2C idea, you can use this map. And now we are going to follow the same process that I did to find the 8 ideas. So this is the map when everything is closed. And you can just pick something that you feel interested in and start digging. For the sake of this video, I started with human resources. And I've seen applicant tracking, HR management, learning management. Okay, in applicant tracking, I have ATS software, which I don't know what it is. I mean, now I know, but when I started, I didn't know. And within ATS software, I have resume parsing software, job posting software, candidate tracking, interview scheduling, applicant screening, recruitment CRM. Okay, I have a lot of things that I'm not really familiar with. If I look at job boards, then I can see the same thing, like a lot of things that companies are dealing with, but I'm not obviously familiar with. So I decided to start with applicant tracking and to explore a little bit more about what is ATS software. So when I open applicant tracking on Google, and by the way, I'm using this extension that I've mentioned in my videos that you can find here. It's Keywords Everywhere. It's a very good extension that allows to have this sort of volume every time you enter a query on Google, and also gives you a trend of the keyword volume. Okay, so what if I open Google Trend and I start with applicant tracking system. When it's a topic, it's a good sign. It means there is demand. I know for sure that if I'm looking into applicant tracking system, if I want to build in the future something here, I have a growing demand. There are plenty of different problems to solve in this area, in this market, but this is a market where there is something to do. There are more and more demands. So if I build something, there will be room for what I want to build. So now if I look into ATS software, search term. Okay, this is also growing and I have 15,000 search per month. I could basically go on and on finding different keywords that attract my attention, that represent markets, and search for the trend on Google and the keyword volume until I find something that is really intriguing, where there is a lot of demand and it is growing. Once I have that, then I move on to the next step, find the big players. So what I did here is simply to go on Google and type best ATS softwares. I found this one, top 30 applicant tracking systems. Cool. Now I can open it and I have the best players in the field. After opening a few, I figured this one is um, an all-in-one tool for HR that serves a lot of different industries. Then I use SimilarWeb to make sure this is a tool that gather already traffic that I can start digging into. And this one is actually huge. 15 million unique visitor per month. It's a very, very big SaaS company. I had no idea about that. You might know it. I didn't before I started researching it. But now I know that people are using this tool, and this tool is one of the biggest players in a growing market. And going back to the find the big players, it's also interesting to look into all the different players and to start adding up the traffic they have per month. So you kind of see, you kind of have a good idea of the size of the market, basically. All right, now I have the big player I want to unbundle. I want to now deconstruct their features to extract all the ones that could be standalone SaaS business ideas. So now I'm simply going to use Claude with the different prompts that we have, starting by the first one. I just need to grab first the URL of the tool I want to unbundle, and then to implement it at the end of this prompt and to run it in Claude. Why Claude? Because this is the best LLM when it comes to market research and marketing, because it understands human behavior and I mean business in general. I think it's always better with Claude than ChatGPT. I test one against the other all the time, and I'm always coming back to Claude. So let's open Claude and run the prompt. So the goal of this prompt is to understand all the features that this tool is providing. You want both Claude to understand it for a better context for the following request, but you also want to read it so you start understanding more about this specific market, since this big player is probably serving a large portion of the market. So now it deconstructs it and we can see all the features. So we have employee data management, we have applicant tracking system, which is the one we started with. So it's only a feature. Onboarding, offboarding, performance management, time tracking, payroll management, benefits administration. I don't know what's that. Employee self-service portal. Those features are just the features that this tool is providing. You can start with it, but this is not what we want. We want to refine it to find only the ones that can be a good standalone SaaS business idea that are simple enough to be built as a one feature tool that also solve a problem that is big enough so that companies would pay for. And lastly, we also want these one feature tools to be potentially specialized in a certain industry for the next step of the process. So all of that is contained in the second prompt that I'm going to run right now. So those are the ones that I mentioned earlier, and I'm going to walk you through them right now. Just know that at this point of the process, you might find things that are interesting right away. You might not, but this is the point where you can simply ask for follow-up and say, okay, those are not satisfying. Is there something else we can dig into? Is there something simpler? This is where you iterate basically to find out promising ideas. So now let's look into the ones that Claude found the first time. So we have employee satisfaction software, something I didn't know about. I mean, I won't say that for all of them. Basically, I didn't know most of them, but basically, it's a tool to make sure that employees are happy, so the churn rate is low and company keep growing without having to hire more and more. And the interesting thing is that employees' happiness might be something quite new, and that's why you can see that the demand is not only growing, but it is also uh, relatively new. The search volume, though, is not high, but this is a market that just started. So it is probably going to be higher in the next months. So this is already a very good place to start building. Salary benchmark. I didn't really dig into it. The demand is not as big. Well, the trend is not growing the same way, and you can see that when you have those spikes here, it means that the demand is not stable. So beware about that. But we have some volume, and this is something worth digging into. I don't know if it leads somewhere, but it's something interesting. So we have PTO tracking, which is something to track leave of absence. Time tracking. I didn't dig too much into it. The volume is interesting, um, but the trend is not growing. However, something I didn't mention is every time you see a cost per click here, it means this is the price that the average price that advertisers have to pay to get one click. And the higher this cost, the more valuable is the people clicking on that. And $10 is a fair price with a fair volume. And most importantly, I think PTO tracking is really the kind of tool that can be niche down to very specific use for a very specific industry. So if you want to dig deeper into this one, then go ahead. I didn't though. Employee onboarding, way easier to understand. And here we already see that the volume is higher, the CPC is still very decent. And same as the first ones, we have like a recent market that is now growing way faster. Same thing, you can dig deeper into this one, but I think employee onboarding, same thing. It's same thing as PTO tracking. You can have like way different types. You can have a lot of different types of onboarding depending on industries. So you can decline this idea to a lot of niche specific industry specific ideas. Interview scheduling. I was kind of skeptical about this one because I was like, no, you don't want to create like a Zoom competitor or something. But this is actually very specific when it comes to HR. Apparently, there are tools that are made to do interviews, and it's not only Calendly and Google Meets. It's a tool that is dedicated to a specific HR system with specific needs. And same thing, you can see the volume is not high, but relatively recent market with the demand that is growing recently. Skill assessment software. I think this one is really interesting, and probably there are way better way to put it than skill assessment because weirdly the volume is low, although it's growing. But I found very interesting tools, especially for developers um, that are having quite a lot of traffic. So I guess this is a bigger industry than it seems just by looking at that. And if you think of skill assessments, every single industry has specific requirements and can benefit from a skill assessment tool that is dedicated. So the secret here is i- into niching down again. It's not a secret. I'm saying it for each of them. So I think you get it by now. Application screening. Um, so basically reading the first draft, like sorting up all the good application based on certain criteria, can be done by AI. And this is something in demand, growing demand recently. And I mean, this is clearly one feature thing. Again, very good potential into niching down to specific industry. Employee recognition, I found this one. I put it because it satisfies what we are looking for. High search, very good CPC, and growing demand, recent growing market, but I don't know what it is. So if you want to look into this one, employee recognition, feel free, and I'm pretty sure there are a lot of ways to build into that. Okay, so now you have the list of all the 8 SaaS business ideas that I found following this process for only one single uh, starting problem from the Evergreen map. And you can build each of them as it is. You can build a skill assessment software, an application screening software, whatever. You can simply build it. But the next step is very important. If you skip the next step, you might find yourself into a marketing trap. These ideas are horizontal ideas at this point. It means we are not addressing a specific industry, we are only addressing a certain problem. If you build it like that, you have a horizontal SaaS business. You don't want that. You can become one at some point, but you want to start specialized by an industry. And that's where the third prompt comes in. It will simply, and you can see it here, it will simply take the idea that we have. We specify, okay, I want to create a PTO tracking software. And Claude will then output all the major industries that can benefit from a specialization. So for PTO tracking, we have healthcare. Why? Because they need to track complex shift work, on-call time, mandatory coverage requirement, and comply with patient care regulation. So this means you can build a PTO tracking software, but you can build a PTO tracking software for the healthcare industry, and you can go even deeper on the specification. Another example is for employee satisfaction software. You can build an employee satisfaction software, or you can build an employee satisfaction software for the childcare industry, which needs specific, which has specific needs that all the others company don't have. And in this case, you become a category of one. You took a market that is in demand, you made sure that there is demand, and instead of competing directly with the biggest player in the game, what you do is to pick one feature that they are overlooking, but you make it the best you can for one specific industry. Then now, when you start marketing your tool and you reach out to childcare uh, companies, offering the employee satisfaction that is dedicated for them, you don't have competition. You are the only one to offering this specifically for them. And that's how you start building. And later on, you can expand either horizontally or vertically. Either you can start serving different niches horizontally, same problem solved, but with different niches, or you can expand vertically. You keep building with the childcare industry, and then you will add different features to serve always the same industry. But that's your choice, and that's a second step. What we want at first is really to build something specific and without any competition. I hope this framework was clear enough so you can use it for yourself and find infinite business ideas that you can build with one single feature. But if you already have a business idea and you want to understand how do you take this idea or this product that you already have built and create a marketing machine out of it to promote it with ads, with organic content, to create your landing pages, to do everything marketing related just by following a chain of prompts that will use deep research AI agents to create the marketing for you without any knowledge required, then you can watch this video. and I see you in the next one. Bye bye.